episode of Shining the Light on. Therese, how are you today? Feeling all the feels today. I feel like there's stuff, hey?
We were just talking before we hit record. I just feel really nauseous and it's kind of just come on suddenly. Um, and there, it feels energetic to me. It doesn't
Yeah.
feel like it's necessarily caused by something physical. It's just really intense all of a sudden. And so we
Yeah.
were, checking the KP index to see like, is anything happening? And this is one of those times where I feel like I'm feeling it as it's coming in. So maybe later we'll actually see if
Yeah.
something hit. But yeah, I'm feeling it for sure right
I know.
now.
Yeah. And I know with Schumann, like when it looks like that and there's a lot of red and green, like I feel it kind of more in versus more of like that high frequency light coming. So
Yeah.
I wonder
Yeah.
I wonder what this is about. Maybe we can ask the cards what the energy is, like what is this that's coming that we're
Yes.
feeling?
Yeah. Let's ask them right now because I am just over it already.
Yeah, me too. It's
After
like, come
6 minutes
on.
of this,
Yeah,
I'm
no,
like, I'm
thank
over it.
you. We're good. Can we go back to it being nicer?
Yeah. Can we have the mild energy? Okay. Let's
Yeah.
see. Team and spirit. Okay, what is going on with energy right now? Can you give us like some information about what's happening here? Okay. Oh, definitely a shift. That's what they're saying. So I got a number five. Five is always about shifting. This one, I don't like the picture so much. So I don't know if you can see that, but there's like this chasm and a
Yeah.
hand trying to reach out that way. Like, that's how I feel right now. So we've got the Five of Wands. Um, Okay, so what I'm getting from this is like they're saying this is a like a fighting card. Again, there's like this
Mm.
internal fight and an external fight happening. Um, this feels like power struggle energy is what I'm getting, and I
Ah,
don't think it's ours. I think it's
no.
other power struggle happening right now, and specifically weird now that I think about it because my power went out this morning, like a
Oh,
huge power outage
yeah.
in my area. So maybe that's why I'm feeling it because I feel like there was definitely an element to it that was really
Right.
weird. The power went out. You couldn't call the power company. It was like the phone wouldn't even let you connect. And then our
Oh,
cell service went out temporarily and then came back on. It was really weird. Um, with just like,
hmm.
and the explanation was somebody hit a transformer. And it's like, why would that affect so many different things?
Yeah, that would just be us. That would usually, isn't that just a really small localized area?
I mean, I don't know. I'm not going to pretend like I understand how the power grid works,
Right.
but it just feels like a lame excuse for something else that happened.
Totally. I feel that too.
But anyway, this is a feeling of like self-defense as well, like kicking in. So like there's
Mm.
something overwhelming. Wands represent like a more spiritual energy. So what I'm really getting from this is like maybe we've got our like galactic friends doing something up there,
It's
you
funny
know?
that you say that because a colleague and I connected the other day and she's very attuned and aware of all of the galactic stuff, and she said last week a huge galactic event happened that like really shifted the energy, and like it was quite of course the one side's trying to lower the frequencies and keep us stuck in the old timelines, and of course the our brothers and sisters are coming to assist us and help us out, and of course the good prevailed, but it was apparently like very intensive and very big.
Yeah, well, can I share with you? I don't know if I've told you this yet, but at the last Spirit Circle, which was on Monday, there was a new moon in Scorpio
Right.
on Monday, and I have sessions with Amber, and she is awesome, by the way. You must work with her. If you haven't worked with her yet, what are you waiting for? Seriously. But so I had my session with her. I did some deep digging, and I had like a breakthrough. Amber, I didn't get a chance to tell you about it, but like something kind of clicked and I'm like, I'm done doing this. Like I fully accept like my power. I had that moment and I felt my team kind of do this. They like were with a clipboard, they were just like check and they were like, thanks, we'll see you later. And I'm like, okay. So, but I kind of was like, okay, maybe I was just like working through something. I got it. And I
Yeah.
put it in the back of my mind. Well, at the spirit circle, I always do a meditation, a guided channeled meditation, and I'm channeling my team. When I channel my team, it feels very natural. It's like they're talking to me, but also it's coming out simultaneously. So I'm talking to them and I'm answering immediately,
Yeah.
but it's very natural. There's nothing about it that feels like different. But this time, as I'm calling in my team right before we're about to do it, right the last second, I hear Arcturians coming in, and I'm like, what? And as I'm channeling, as I'm starting to channel, I feel this energy come in through the top of my head and it hits my voice box in my mouth. And then this whole different group comes forward. The Arcturian Council came forward and they started talking, and they were talking to the star seeds about their mission and what they're here to do. But it was so wild because it was so different. I literally felt like, you know, when you're just waking up, but you're still really sleepy and someone's talking to you and it's really hard to form the words.
Yeah.
You're like trying to talk, but you're tired, right? And it felt just like that. It was so wild. Like it wasn't, I'm still processing the experience, but my point is like the Arcturians came through, and then twice yesterday they reconfirmed it was them. They were like, yep, it was us. It was us.
Amazing.
And they showed me something in a visual, but they didn't let me speak about it. And then I was sharing that with the group afterwards. A couple of people, we just were chatting after. And you know, Tarot by Janine, you know, Beyond Mystic. So she had Jean-Claude and the group were talking about something that's underground in Israel, Palestine area that they can't talk about right now. Like they're not being allowed to talk about it. And then I was shown the same thing. So I can't talk about it. I'm like, if they're not going to talk about it and the Arcturians didn't speak it, then I'm not going to say it. But we were holding light and praying, but it feels like there's this big thing.
Yeah.
It will come out when it's time. Like people will share with you what it is. But there is something really big that's being removed. And the Arcturians had said that most of the evil is actually out of this timeline we're on. So kind of bringing it back to our topic today about timelines, we definitely have shifted timelines. And in the one that we're in, not much evil is really left. Which is good, you know, but this one big thing, it feels like something that they're working on, and just kind of taking what you're saying and what I've gotten and like what we're hearing and kind of putting it together. I'm not saying that this power outage just in my neighborhood is like them doing it, but it's connected to that, and the energy that you might be feeling during this time. You might feel also maybe the nausea like I feel, or you might feel really headachy, or like you need to sleep a lot to process it, because we are all holding space to move this thing out.
Or if you're anything like me, you've been awake half the night most nights of the week and can't fall back to sleep. So it's great. Not great. But we're all processing in different ways, right? So
for sure.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you for sharing what came through in your spirit circle. That's very profound. And, you know, maybe it would be cool to do a roundtable with you and I and my colleague, Maureen, because we could have a lot of fun. We could do cards, we could tap in, we could ask questions. We could see what galactics want to come in and connect with us, but that could be really fun too.
Yeah, that would be fun.
Like, you know, because she also saw a massive benevolent ship over Israel when everything first started over there. And she said, there's something there that they're shifting, and chills right now.
Oh, for sure. And like one of the big motherships, just interestingly, is called the New Jerusalem, which is really, and it's docked in front of Venus. Like something's up. I mean, like this conflict that's happening, that's very layered. You know, there's so many layers to it, but they talked about it being saved for last because it's a key, it's a linchpin. Like when this thing gets fully exposed for what it is, you'll understand like why this was such, you know, this is like really big. And it also kicks off so many other events that you and I know like they're coming, right? Like the finale of the movie is coming. By the way, I'm going to share with people the actual recording of what was said by the Arcturians on my Modern Mystic Soul podcast. So
Okay.
that's going to be coming out soon so that you can hear
Ah,
word for word what it sounded like and what they
wow.
said.
I can't wait to listen. It'll be linked below, right? So people
Yes, it
can
will
click
be in
through.
my link
Perfect.
tree for sure.
Good. Okay. Well, we can't wait.
Awesome. So yeah, I wanted to talk more about timelines with you today because, I think for a long time in my life, I was under the impression that there was just like one thing happening here, one linear point in time
Yeah.
that's pulling out, it's just this one straight line of time that's happening. And of course, throughout life and, growing deeper into my spiritual um, growth journey, my team had told me years ago. I remember I had a dream with Albert Einstein, and he was talking to me, and he explained to me how the quantum all-time works. I didn't know that's what he was talking about. He just explained it in a way that I could understand. And he was like, time is like a cosmic club sandwich. I remember
Cosmic
exactly.
Club sandwich.
He said it was like a cosmic club sandwich. And he was like, each layer of the sandwich is a layer of time. So you might have like, the 1800s happening here and the 1900s and
Yeah.
the 2000s and all this, but they're all happening simultaneously. And he said, your
Right.
consciousness is the toothpick. And where you stop your consciousness is the time period you're experiencing. So you can move the
Okay.
toothpick through the layers of time. But again, this idea that we see it linearly and like one big progression when really it's all stacked on top of each other and it's more spiral in shape than
Okay.
a line. So that when you start understanding how all time works, then moving timelines makes much more sense, because it's like, how do I jump from one linear point to another linear point?
Right.
You're moving through a spiral.
Yeah.
So
Makes sense.
that's kind of the first part. Um, where do you want to go with timelines? Like, what are some questions that you have? Because this is a big topic and I
I
don't want to
know.
just spew information at you.
I think my first question is, how can we tell intuitively, physically, and emotionally when a timeline is shifted? And I'm assuming that the time we keep jumping up in timelines, like we're not going lower, right?
Okay, so you
We're
can move
jumping
back and forth. You
right
can move back and forth.
personally.
Yes. And here's what's happening. So on a personal level, you're shifting timelines all the time. And
Totally.
how that's happening is at choice points. And
Yes.
we have small choice points that we're making all the time. Like, did you go out today or did you decide to stay in? Like, you know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like, these smaller choice points alternate a little bit the timeline you're on. And then there's major choice points like getting married or taking a job or moving to a different city, right? These are
Right.
major choice points. Now,
Yeah.
here's where it's going to get a little wild, is that both on the personal and collective level, all choices happen, but you're
Right.
only conscious of the one you choose.
Yes.
So we're a multidimensional soul. We're not one point in space like we feel like we are. We're
Right.
many points in space.
Yeah.
And so what happens is, at a choice point, um, you move forward consciously with the choice you made, but there's a split that happens where another version of you does the other choice.
Right.
So that's playing out. You're not conscious of it and you're not supposed to be conscious of it, but that does play out. Um, and also, there are convergence points where you made a choice here that splits, and then you go this way, and then this and other goes
Right.
this way, and then more choices are made, but ultimately they come back together. So it's like, it sort of looks like that
Right.
as you're moving through time. So things resolve. I mean, they don't stay open-ended. There's usually a convergence point where things come back together. Actually, a movie that shows this really well is Sliding Doors. Did you ever see that, from like the
No.
1990s? It has Gwyneth Paltrow, and it's a story about this woman who, does she find out her boyfriend's cheating or not? And what does her two lives look like? But they also converge back in the
Ah,
end. They come back together.
okay.
And so that's a really great visual example of what personal timelines look like. So then let's look at collective timelines, because that's really what we've been talking about when we're like, we've jumped timelines. When we're saying that, we're talking about a
Right.
collective jump.
Yeah.
And then this is again, um, these jumps are based on numbers, right? So this is based on like where the majority of thought is where we jump to.
Right.
And sometimes we're assisted. So sometimes we get cosmic assistance where they're like, there's enough there that, you know, we can kind of tip it a little bit or push them forward. Like they're just like, there's like maybe just 2 or 3 people left who are about to make that choice. And so we get sort of a speed up jump into the next timeline.
Right.
So can we go up and down on collective timelines? Technically, yes. But as a collective, we tend to be pretty progressive, not progressive in politics, but progressive in like we want to keep moving forward. Like there's when you get a collective together, you get a momentum that really happens. And that momentum in this current collective that we have that's been here, made up of many generations, we've been already like there is a momentum that's happened already. This train is already going in a certain direction.
Yes, it sure
And like I
is.
said, then you get the cosmic timelines, and this is where it gets really wild because it's even bigger than this collective. Then you've got planetary consciousness,
Right.
cosmic consciousness,
Oh my gosh.
right? And they're also, you know, it's like my team shows me this clock that's got many hands that like they're all moving and they look like they're moving at different speeds, but at one point they all meet up.
Right.
And that's when you get like a definitely not a polarity shift, a density shift. When all the hands line up, it's click together, right? And our trajectory has been this entire time there, we're going to ascend. We're on an ascension part of the cosmic clock, not a descension. So everything is moving towards that. So it's almost like all the hands have to line up to move into alignment with what's going to happen, which is ascending. So all of our collective timelines, as I understand it, are always being shuffled to get us closer to the big hand, the cosmic, you know, to line up to the cosmic clock, which is to ascend into the next density.
Yeah, makes sense. And so then, wow, that just blows my mind, right? Because there's the individual timelines, there's the collective, then there's like you said, the whole Earth, I guess, which is collective, and the cosmic, and it's unbelievable.
So if we look at the Earth as it's a sentient being with its own consciousness, it has moved already. It's already a 4D planet moving to 5D, which means that now on this planet can inhabit life all the way up to beginning of 5D. So before that, life that was higher than 4D couldn't live here.
Right.
And I don't mean people who are coming from other places and incarnating as human. I mean like a pure life form coming in to be here. Like you couldn't manifest if you were 7th density and pure and not embodying the human experience. You couldn't manifest here.
Yeah.
I still can't manifest here, but 5th density beings could start to appear and be seen and be visible because the planet's own consciousness can now hold that level of vibration. So that's exciting. So again, the planet had to shift before we shifted so we could inhabit it and stay, you know, with her. But also, if we're not progressing with her, we get kicked off, which has happened in the past. That's what like civilization ending events have happened in the past. And it was because they didn't shift, right? And were we at that possible point where humanity would get kicked off again? Yes, we got there. Kind of like the atomic bomb was sort of the red alert, this is bad. They could get kicked off. And that's when all the star seeds were like, crap, like we gotta volunteer. Exactly. We gotta volunteer, incarnate, and do our missions here to help make sure that the civilization as a whole could continue to progress because it's meant to. And again, it's not because humanity isn't smart or intelligent or incapable of shifting, but there have been negative infiltration here for a while that was trying to pull it down. trying to co-opt humanity, pull it down, and basically be the dictators of humanity.
Yeah.
And that's what's been ending and crumbling and falling apart most of the time we've been here.
Yeah, no. So maybe can we ask the cards, like, what is the best way to process through a timeline shift? Because there's energy shifts, right? There's ascension symptoms, right? There's so many things, and you may not even realize what's going on. It just may be like, oh, I feel off today. Something feels off, or maybe I feel more energized.
Yeah, let's ask them. This one? Okay. Interesting. Okay. I did not expect that answer. So I'm getting the Two of Wands. Again, this is a spiritual energy, and it's like 1 foot here and 1 foot there. Like you got to like, it's okay that when the shift occurs that you struggle a little bit. Like you're like, I don't have my bearings. They're like, you're not going to. Like stop expecting yourself to be like
Wonder Woman.
Yeah, like able to just like move with it, especially when it's a quick shift like they've done sometimes. Like I think sometimes we've been shifted to get out of harm's way. Like there was going to be an event that plays out on this timeline, but we're just going to move you over, shift you over one dimension. And then that does happen there, but you're not on that one now.
Yeah.
And I think that is jarring. And we're also in the process of upgrading at an atomic level. We are changing too. So there's all these other cellular deep changes. Things are coming back online. Like, we could talk about the DNA strands, how we're supposed to have 12 active. We've only had 2. But now, like, I think up to 5 are possible to come online. And that's just one of the many things that's shifting in us. So there is this discombobulation, and they're saying like, just accept that 1 foot is like in sea and one's on land. So you might not feel like you're all the way over, or you might even have experiences where you're like, but if we're on a better timeline, why do I still see this? And you have to realize these timelines aren't like opaque, they're translucent. So you can see lower, you could watch really low timelines if you wanted to. I personally don't want to, but you could watch them and you'd be like, wow, I can see that, but I'm not experiencing it. So it's the same as like watching a movie where it's like, I can see the movie, but I'm not in the movie.
Right.
Timelines are sort of like that. So every time we shift, you're going to have this sort of, I'm half in, and I'm trying to come in, but I still feel like there's, like, I don't feel better yet. Everyone's associating feeling better with higher timelines. I do. And my brain just goes there. Like, if we're on a higher timeline, why doesn't this feel better?
Yeah, it definitely doesn't feel optimal most of the time.
But you got to think about like Harry Potter and a port key, right? Like where they touch an object and they get sucked through time and space. They always feel really discombobulated after that. No one's like, that's fun. Like the adults act like they're cool with it because they've done it so long, but the kids are always like, whoa, like,
right.
So it's kind of like that. And there's also this energy, and this is kind of an out there thought. So anything I'm sharing with you where you're like, that's hurting my brain, just leave it. But there's also in the Law of One, they talk about windows of there's spontaneous shifts that happen that cannot be predicted, and it cannot be like, you don't know when it's coming, but it is shifting. And this is because in order to maintain the law of free will on the planet, you can't have constants. There has to be this sort of like randomized element of randomized shifts and randomized. So this is when you get into things like in Dolores Cannon's books, The Convoluted Universe, where she's talking about people who walk into another time period and walk right out. They're like, what the hell was that? Or walk through a temporal bubble where you're like, think like no one's there, and then you walk out of it and everybody's there. All those things happen. Those are those randomizing events that allow for free will to be active. That means that other probabilities can happen even though you're on a set trajectory, if that makes sense.
Totally makes sense. Yeah. Thank you
for sharing that. So we have to just remember there's randomization is part of the process. And that's why we're like, if this is better, why is that weird thing happening? It's
Yeah.
like, it's
Yeah.
partly the reason
It's
why.
part of the process. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So my other question that's coming up is, with how can we, how do I say this? Because I have like two questions coming at once.
Yeah.
Are there are we going to see a significant amount of timeline shifts like through the rest of the year into 2024, or is it like collectively more so?
Okay, so one, I'm just getting this or just saying it right now. So they were like, as more and more disclosure comes out, the shifts happen faster,
Right, which
right?
makes sense.
Because it has to do with the collective level, it has to do with consciousness. So the more people who are conscious and aware of something, the
Yeah,
faster it can move now,
right,
right? Because it's almost like you got to think about it like a seesaw or a scale. So wherever there's more consciousness, there's more weight, and the more weight there is, the faster it tips, right? So what the more eyes or awareness or understanding is on something, the faster it goes.
right. That
Okay.
makes sense. So I guess when is humanity going to have more awareness so that we can really get a move on?
Yeah. Okay. Let's ask them that. Okay. 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 When financial events occur, this is the Knight of Discs. He represents events and he's money related. So when the financial events occur, that's going to wake a bunch of people up, which I think we know. We know that was going to happen, but it's like you think about it, like people, like there's wars going on, that wakes some people up. There's corruption
Yeah.
going on, that wakes some people up. But when you start messing with people's money, like they pay attention,
Yeah. I'm just like,
right?
why do we have to be on the timeline where that even has to happen? Honestly.
Um, because we can't continue. Like, first of all, on this timeline, there's still a central banking monetary system.
Right.
And the central banking monetary system is key to many events. It ties things together. It's going to tie like Epstein Island together with political
Everything. Yeah.
people, with, military intelligence and
Yeah.
all this. Like, it's going to tie a lot of stuff together. And again, skipping the lesson is not how we're going
No,
to
I know.
ensure that doesn't happen again. So we do
Yeah.
want, I'm in the same boat as Amber. I definitely would be like, can I just like, yeet into a higher timeline? Can you just
Yeah.
like put me over there where it's already done and things are better? But I think on some level, um, one of the things that the Arcturian said is like, you're on a mission, Starseed. Like you're here
Yeah.
for a reason and you're needed. You're a
Yeah.
necessary component of energy. You help make sure that this goes in the right direction.
For sure.
So as much as I feel like the lesson isn't for the star-seeded people, the star-seeded people are the glue that keeps
Right.
this together. It makes sure that like this movement moves forward in the correct trajectory. Because like I said, if you were to take us out and just let them learn that experience, there's
Yeah.
the whole possibility of chaos and it going backwards, and
Yeah.
that's not where it's meant to go, because we're meant to have a mass graduation.
Yeah.
Like everybody's supposed to go, as many of we as we can bring over, so that we can end that programming that's been
Yeah.
happening. That's not part of the school. The
For
negative,
sure.
the really dark negative stuff was never part of Earth School.
Yeah.
It was like Earth School got infiltrated and was being taught by terrorists, really. So
Mm-hmm.
we've got to be there to make sure like we're helping keep it, keep it cohesive and moving in the right direction. So yeah, I don't love that idea, but also I feel like don't worry, because there will be protections.
Yeah.
And many things can be taught to you without having to put you through tremendous pain. Just a
Yeah.
little pain, just a little suffering, just to wake you up, just to make you go, oh my God. And then we can have, the resolution and the healing and the answers.
Yeah.
And those answers already exist. And they've
Right.
existed for a while. So
Right. Well, let's hope it doesn't take as long as it's taking to wind up to this financial event as the financial event is, because that would ruin the world, I feel like, if it took 2 years.
no, I think that it has to compound. It's going to compound pretty fast. I think it's connected to the war. I mean, originally with the 16-year plan, which is the dark plan,
Right.
the deep state plan, that was about using war as the cover up because the system
Right.
is crashing.
Yeah.
And so if you've got people distracted by war, or you could use war as an excuse, then there's no one to blame.
Right.
But when people can see that this is being, the war is being manipulated, and that the banking system's being manipulated, it's going to be so obvious that people aren't going to fall for it.
Yeah.
Um, and of course, we need to see what their solution is, which is something no one wants, right? No one wants a credit system or social scores to be able to access their money.
No.
And so we've got to look at that and say, no, right? Like, I reject this. I don't accept that.
100%. Well, that makes sense. Well, I mean, we've been kind of, not that we've been waiting, but we've been anticipating this for a long time. It's been being talked about for like a year and a half, and it still hasn't really fully happened. So I guess they're easing people into it because that's the only way to prevent chaos.
And it has been happening a little bit at a time. It's just, I think that for us to like put it all together, it would be nice if it was like one thing after another.
Yeah.
That might be too aggressive or abrasive for people. But you've got things like Silicon Valley Bank. Remember that happened, was like the beginning of this year. There was a bunch of banking stuff. A whole bunch of banks have closed. Then you've got Jamie Dimon of Chase being connected to Epstein, and Chase Bank itself being connected to Epstein.
Yeah.
So these are big things. And then what else is happening? Brain fart. But then you're also seeing in the United States as an example of how they are creating our inflation, and they're creating basically a recession by constantly sending large sums of money that could literally go back into our country to help us. They keep sending it out, and they keep looking for ways to send it out. I mean, we just had to get rid of a Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy, right? He had to be taken out because he was making deals behind Congress's back to give more money away.
Yeah. When does it end?
Right? Well, I feel like it's all exposure. But again, you've got, some of us are doing like, first of all, we read the book and now we're just reviewing our notes over it, where other people are reading the book in real, or the things being played out very slowly in real time, so that you can like see what's going on. And if they do it too fast, you don't understand all the pieces. I think that it's just, we're having that battle fatigue where it's like, I just want to move forward to the fun parts. But don't forget, we got that there's going to be disclosure. And I just saw somewhere else them talking about like major disclosure coming up in 2024.
Well, I hope so, because they said that 2023 was the year that all lies were going to be revealed, and here we still are. So I'm like trying to stay detached.
Well, I think this was more like, the military industrial complex, ET type disclosure stuff, I think is what they were alluding to. But like it's definitely happening, and it doesn't feel like it can go past the next year. Like it doesn't.
I hope not, because people are going to be really frustrated if nothing happens in 2024.
Oh no, stuff is going to happen.
Waiting long enough.
I'm just hoping at the same time as all that happens, that there's a lot of like really strong light, really strong good that's coming in with it, even if it's just on your personal level. Like I'm wishing that and hoping that for all people, so that it makes it easier to ride through it. Because I would much rather have that balanced by some really strong positive energy for people while they have to watch this, major implosion of a negative system.
Well, we're here for it. I'm
Yeah, and
definitely
just
feeling the battle fatigue right now, that's for sure. I'm like, just thinking about all of it is like, I can't even think about it right now because it's, if I slept better, maybe I could, but all my processing is happening in the middle of the night instead of during the day.
right.
It's like
Well,
I need a
okay,
nap.
so really quick, just speaking to that, you do know you're working in the middle of the night, right? You're not
Totally.
just sleeping, and
Yes.
many
The
people
soul's out and
are.
about.
Many people are. You're either doing work on planet, you're possibly working off planet, like going back
Right.
to like getting like downloads and things like that from your team, and possibly even like doing education, like extended education happens on the other side as well.
Okay,
And
cool.
sometimes you are walk-ins. That's the one that weirds me out,
Oh,
is that you walk into someone else's life to help them speed up the process, um,
okay.
and upgrade. Yeah, that one weirds me out because
Oh,
walk-ins always feel so permanent to me, but it's really not. It's like I'm just going to help you out
yeah.
by like stepping in,
That's
helping
so
you.
interesting. Yeah, no doubt. Well, that makes me feel a little bit more excited. And then maybe I'm back in my body awake because it's like, no, you shouldn't be out right now doing stuff. You need to just be in here. So we're going to keep you awake for a while.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much to process, and I wonder too if some of the things that we're upgrading is just it's changing our sleeping patterns because at a higher level, like what does sleep look like for us? If we can regenerate faster, what does that look
Right.
like?
I'm not, but this is the thing is like, at this point, still, I'm not regenerating faster. I'm having to take more adrenal support. I was off all my adrenal support. Now I have to take it again. And I'm like, ideally, I don't want to take it because I'd love to save that money. Right.
Yeah,
So,
sure.
not that I'm the negative Nancy right now, but sometimes being a human is extra right
It
now.
is. It is. And we're right now we're talking about concepts that are like only like it's kind of cutting edge thought, meaning
Yeah.
like not a lot of people spend their time thinking
No.
about that. But if you wanted to help shift timelines, you just call in higher timelines. So, for those watching it, if you're like, well, this timeline still sucks, like nothing feels like it's getting better, then just keep affirming that you're on the highest timeline. And the more of us that are doing it, the more weight again in the scale we're giving it, and then we can shift again even
Right.
faster. So
Right. That's true.
keep offering that affirmation and that thought that we're on the highest timeline.
I love that. Let's keep doing that. Well, Therese, let's wrap up because I know you have a very important workshop to teach. Where can everyone find you and your work?
Yeah, so thank you. Yeah, if you go to blythestarlight.com, you can see everything that I do there. If you go to the link in the description below, you can see all the little different offerings I have. And of course, check out my YouTube channel, which is at Blythe Starlight, where I do my weekly karma cards, my world event readings, where this awesome podcast also lives, just so you can hear more about the kind of things that I'm getting from my team and new teams. How about you, Amber?
Yay. If you need help with your adrenal fatigue and you want to sleep better while
Right.
we're trying to fix my own, and or any other symptoms or self-sabotage with food because you're stressed about stuff going on in the world, you can click below to take the free emotional eating quiz, as well as check out other resources and support if you want to connect for a consultation. And I'm having a coaching or like a 40% off holiday sale this week, so you can come do some shopping and get some great things for yourself to assist you on your journey. So thank you. As always, it was a pleasure. I hope your nausea goes away like ASAP.
It has
Oh,
mostly gone
good.
away in this conversation. So
Maybe
thank
there was
you.
something you
Thank
just needed to
you.
share that was
Just had to
like,
get it off my chest, I guess.
yeah. Well, I'm glad that you're feeling better. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. If you have any topics you want to have us explore, leave them in the comments below. Otherwise, we'll see you for a whole new episode next week. And I think next week we're actually going to do a 2024 kind of reading and tap into the energy and the year of the 8 and all of that, right?
Oh
So I'm
yeah. Oh
excited.
yeah.
It's going to be a
Yeah,
good
me
one.
too.
Okay, we'll see you later. Bye.
Bye.